This is Ryan McKinnell from MMAmadness, sitting down with Brent Beauparlant. Talk to Boss, one of his favorite names to say in the IFL. How you feeling today, bud?
Awesome.
Good, good. So you got a big fight coming up Saturday. It's there's no denying it. You're facing one of the best fighters in the IFL, Benji Braddock. How do you feel about it?
I feel awesome.
Yeah?
You know, people keep telling me he's a great fighter, but I didn't get here, I wasn't invited in. They didn't parachute some schlub.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
Yeah?
It's going to be a great fight.
So you're thinking about Saturday. What's going on in your head? How did you specifically train for this fight? Were you training with Carlos for this fight, or where were you training
I
at?
was training with Carlos. I go up to Toronto every week.
Okay.
Train with him. Kept training with my Muay Thai coach. Kept training with my wrestling team. Kept training with, there's no secrets, man. It's hard work.
Right.
That's it.
Well, speaking of hard work, what kind of training does Carlos put you through?
Well, I got Carlos, and he's been helping me. I mean, there's no use me saying that it's a secret. My weakness was jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I hadn't done any in like 2 years, and I started fighting with the IFL.
And no one gets better than Carlos.
Nobody gets better than Carlos, and it's sort of like a hybrid. You can't say it's pure BJJ.
Right.
It's it's a hybrid. It's submission wrestling. So we worked a lot with that, and then with Terry Riggs, who's our assistant coach, he's been working with me on all stand-up. So I get the best of both worlds. And on the weekends, I go back home, go to my wrestling team, wrestle, and we're going to see what's going to happen Saturday. I think all the bases are covered.
Yeah, you got all, everything's good to go. How's your weight? We're talking the day before weight cutting, folks. So
I didn't weigh myself, but I figure I'm probably 190 right now.
Okay, so it'll be fine.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, so no drastic cuts or anything.
No. Everybody kind of asked me how I was doing when I changed from 205 to 185.
Right.
There's no problems. I'm not a 205er.
So you sit better at 185.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so the majority of your losses in the IFL came when you were 205. A couple of them. So it makes complete sense. You got explosive hands. I mean, you're up there. I mean, Benji, like he gave you praise. He wasn't necessarily looking past you. You know what I mean? So it's got to be cool. Benji said you guys were going to be on the opening of the show. So live TV, My Network TV. I mean, that's got to be huge for you. Reach all those households?
Well, first of all, you guys, you don't really get it in the United States. And
right.
We're coming down from Canada, and we don't have, what you guys have. Like, you guys, it's almost cultural, where you guys love sport, and you can create an environment. Like, we could never have an IFL in Canada.
Right.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But it works in the States, because you guys love sport.
Right.
So I'm coming in here, and I'm excited, because in the States, people are like, hey, I know who you are. You're a fighter with the IFL. And it's an awesome feeling. Because when I go back to Canada, Canada's dominated by cage events. Mm-hmm. And they could care less about the IFL. Yeah. So I'm really excited to be out here.
Yeah, obviously. We've talked about this with some other fighters. Do you enjoy the team aspect more, or do you like this kind of Grand Prix going for the belts thing? Or do you not really have an opinion?
No, I have a very definite opinion.
Yeah.
You know what? During the season, it's like every team sport. Like
right.
If you're a football fan, a baseball fan, during the season, you work out all your problems. You work out your kinks. And our team was close to making the finals. So now, man, it's like icing on the cake. Now it's the Grand Prix. I get to shine myself personally. So it's the best of both worlds,
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you can't argue that fact at all.
You can't argue that.
So we talked about Toronto and next year and what might be happening. How do you feel about the IFL in general? The team aspect and everything. Is that pretty cool as far as having that brotherhood and that camaraderie more?
Initially, I was like everyone, right?
Right.
MMA is for the lone wolf, and we're solo, and there'll never be any sort of team component. Man, it doesn't take a long time. When you're in the back room and somebody helps you out and everybody's helping you, it just turbo boosts your career. So I am a big fan. I am now, a convert. I am a big fan of the team format. And teams, I think just generally people gravitate more easily towards teams.
Right.
So, because we don't have all the biggest names in the IFL, but the names are coming now. And I think that's what this weekend is going to do. It's going to solidify a lot of names. People are going to be like, oh yeah, that guy. Okay, I know who he is. So
I was just mentioning that, I believe, with Benji, and that was the fact that you know, it's cool because you're finally going to get to see these guys in 96% of the homes across, you know, the United States of America. And on top of that, like I've been doing with all these interviews, and I've said it to everyone, and I mean it, I'm not, you know, kissing ass to the IFL. I am not doing that. What I am doing is trying to get out there that I really respect the talent level that is in the IFL, and it seems like a lot of people don't. And I'm not sure why, but I think you could comment on that, you know, a little better than I could.
I think the problem is with the IFL is that it's so drastic. The change was so drastic.
Right.
You know,
Kind of hit people, shocked them.
Yeah, it shocked them. So
right.
You had, number one, you were taking care of your athletes. You were giving them a salary.
Right.
And you were giving guys like me a great purse, a purse that I could get nowhere else. If
right.
I had to compete in Canada in these rinky-dink shows, I'd be getting like $400, $500 a shot.
Right.
There's no comparison.
Right.
So now I've got a fixed salary. I've got the great purses. I'm meeting all the best fighters in the world, all the best coaches in the world.
You have the opportunity to fight people like Benji Raddick and others.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think it's just the change was too drastic. It was team format, and there was the way that they treated their athletes. And I think a lot of people, even a lot of fighters, said, well, you know, IFL sucks because I'm getting a shit deal. You know, I'm getting a raw deal, so I think the IFL sucks. It's not the way it works, man. I can't help it that we have a better setup here than, you know, other cage events.
Yeah.
Because in Canada, everybody goes towards cage events, right?
Yeah, and Canada's blown up, but I don't know if they fully appreciate, you know, MMA as a whole. And what I mean by that, and it's not to offend the Canadians at all, Gideon Ray and I were just talking about the Midwest and all the problems we had to go through in the States to get it. I mean, people were getting arrested for unsanctioning. First of all, what's sanctioned? There were doctors there. You know, Dean Thomas just got arrested for this. You know, they're signing waivers. No one's getting killed. It's all done with respect. You know, and
it's done within the rule of the law.
Right.
There's no.
Right, and you know, it's kind of disappointing. You know that certain states aren't. I don't know why they haven't come around to it as far as sanctioning, but I'm kind of getting off the point. You know, Canada has blown up. You know, it is one of the forefronts of, but they're cage oriented. Yeah, and talk about why you like the ring so much. I'm a fan of the ring as being able to watch, but why are you the fan of the ring?
Well, I'm a fan of the ring because the first fights I saw was the big event in Japan.
Right, Shudo, Pride, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I loved it. And I just love the fact that you can't stack a guy up against the cage and ground and pound him for 4 minutes.
No.
IFL, if it goes to the ground, man.
There's ways to get out.
There's ways to get out. But number two, if you're not doing anything, they're going to stand you up and you got to bang.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I prefer it. And
yeah.
number two, as a spectator, I think they prefer it.
Yeah.
Who wants to see two guys hugging on the ground?
Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
I'm not saying the submission. The submission is exciting. But to stack a guy in a